today I have a very interesting guest here on the show today. I'm with Ben Martinez, and basically, he's heading up Ram Talent. He is the founder and has been, bringing up and building up the company. And basically, what they do is they ramp recruiting for HR for startups, right? So if you're a fast-growing company, you are going to need a lot of talent, and this is where Ramp Talent comes in, right? So they're basically, supporting teams from recruiting ready-to-go talent to also, supporting from all the different angles that come with it, like legal aspects, recruiting, operations, and systems for fast-growing startups. So yeah, I'm very curious to hear and very interested to have Ben on the show today. So welcome.
Hi, thank you, Lucas. Welcome. Yeah.
Very good. So maybe give us your own perspective, right? I've given a summary, but you might want to emphasize a couple of different angles. What is Ram Talent all about in your own words?
Yeah, the ramp talent, what we do, well, first of all, I come out of years of recruiting in big companies and also startups. And so I've personally been and lived the battle of trying, finding great talent and bring it into your company and then just making sure you've got a great place for them to land when they show up. I started Ramp Talent after leaving a high growth startup, HireView, it's been over 3 years ago now.
Mhm.
And what we do is we work with high growth tech companies. They're usually tech, not always, sometimes services as well, who are going through some kind of growth phase, whether that is they get around to funding. It could be as early as angel round or pre-seed, or all the way up to like a C round. By that point, they usually outgrow us. But we do have one or two clients that are still using us at that point. But we work with companies that do not have a sophisticated recruiting team or HR team that works internally, and we serve as their outsourced recruiting team. And it's primarily recruiting, and sometimes we get involved in other kind of projects and consultative services. But for the most part, it is recruiting, and that's where we add the most value and help people out.
Got you. And in terms of companies you're working with, you already mentioned it, service companies, but primarily also, fast-growing, I guess, tech companies for the most part of it. Who would be a typical champion within the company? Is that sort of the head of HR, or is that even founders reaching out? Like, who's talking to Ram Talent?
Many times many times we get our leads from the venture capital firms that invest into the companies.
Oh.
They will then introduce us to the founders. That's not always the case, but that does happen a lot. And actually, ideally that's how we like it, because it's easier to talk with the people who are having the problems. But we oftentimes begin with a CTO, a CFO, a CEO, or sometimes a line manager, right? And then they have the problem. We begin working with them, but that's typically who we talk with. There are other times we do talk to recruiting or HR leaders, because many of them are short-staffed and they need someone in recruiting to help them out. So
Yep. Makes sense. Makes complete sense. You mentioned there's sort of that journey of coming through, even their own investors. What would be other journeys that those individuals that get started with Ram Talent go through? What would be the top client acquisition channels, you would say?
other journeys, many times it's word of mouth that they come through. Challenges, that I would say client acquisition challenges that, if I heard, is that what I heard you say, was client acquisition challenges?
Mm-hmm.
They would be, and we assess this in the beginning, but sometimes people are not ready for hiring, and that could mean they're not ready to bring on someone that's at a high caliber of talent. That could mean that they have never really hired at massive scale. They're used to hiring family and friends, which is normal for an early stage startup, but eventually you need to move beyond that. And so we spend a lot of time assessing where they are in the talent acquisition journey. Are they ready for us, essentially? What's their employment brand like? That is actually a big challenge, because a lot of times we're recruiting for companies that are not Google or Facebook, obviously. And so we've got to help tell the story of what it's like to work at that company, because we're pitching that company to candidates and prospects. So.
Super interesting. in that whole journey, right, of companies, learning about RAM talent and getting started with you guys, what would you say, which role does the website play?
The website it's interesting because I'm thankful we have, I believe, a great website. I would be scared to even show you what the previous website looked like. But the website more or less validates what we do, especially now as we've added clients over the years and that are on the website, and we can put logos on the website. And I think a lot of it confirms, like, we'll have a conversation, I know at times, with people, and then they'll go to our website, refer to it, and look at it, and come back to us. And that's many times how we get a lot of our leads confirmed, right? But I mean, the website's also good for blogging, driving people to the website. That is an area where I have, just due to my own busyness, I write as it is, but I just am not blogging and writing like I used to. And I know that that's actually something I'm going to focus on in 2021 more. But yeah,
Good.
I mean, there's some content. There is content on there, but I know I need to write and blog more. So
You already mentioned that leads are coming through the website, and you freshen up the content and bringing case examples as well. What would you say is the major strength of the website in your current perspective on it?
the major strength, I believe, is
Can be.
well, we can actually post our jobs from our website, and that will drive traffic. And that's an unintended consequence, I think, but that does get a lot of traffic when we do post jobs there.
Mhm.
The other strength of our website is it's simple. It gets right to the point. I mean, you quickly figured out what we do. Just looking at the website, and that's what we do. There's no games. It's very core what we do. It's recruiting for high growth startups and tech companies, and at times consultative services too within in talent. But so I would say just easy to navigate and use, and gets the job done. So.
On the flip side, where do you see room for improvement? Is it sort of, the ability to convert visitors to, get in contact? Is it the quality of the leads? Is it the user experience? Where do you see room for improvement?
I think the data and analytics would be key. Some of this could be due to the fact I don't spend enough time, looking at how many people are visiting our website.
Mhm.
What are they looking at? Who are those people? It would be great to follow up. But many times there's people that I get leads off the website that have nothing to do with being a
Mhm.
client. They're just interested in writing on our blog, right?
Yeah.
And which I'm open to at times, but a lot of times the people are not even remotely qualified to do it, or qualified in our space. And so the that's essentially
Yeah.
what about the website. So yeah.
Makes sense. Very good. Yeah, let's switch gears and talk about RAM talent a little bit more. What would you say is a major competitive advantage? Why do high growth startups come back again to RAM talent?
I think one of them that stands out, or two of them that I'll talk about. One is myself, Amanda Morgan, who works on my team, that I'll call out. She's awesome. She understands, and I understand the startup and tech space. We've both worked in that space for some big major companies,
Hmm.
and so we get it. Secondly, I believe that we're fast, like hustle. Like once we take on a new job, they're going to get candidates real fast, and they're screened candidates. We've qualified the candidates. They're ready to
Hmm.
interview with the client, and we move quick. And a lot of that's because we have a pretty deep network.
Hmm.
But I mean, I think that's why people keep coming back to us, right? So.
Very cool. Very cool. Um, Great. So, if we would be switching gears a little bit, right, and talking about you and your journey, because it's been very interesting. You've been, with the super interesting companies of Outreach, just to be, one of them, and then, your whole experience been in the recruiting space there. I'm curious now, today, how do you educate yourself? Like, what type of content do you consume in order to, progress yourself?
Yeah, I do, to educate myself. I do a lot of reading, and I read a wide variety of books, science-based books, um, psychology books. Those are probably the two genres recently, right? Sometimes autobiography books, mystery books. Read a wild book over the summer. Still, it was about Charlie Manson. Not that I'm a fan of him. It was how weird of a cult he started, and it was just interesting. But so reading and then heavy podcasts. Anytime I get in a car when I'm by myself, or sometimes on hikes, we live in the mountains in Utah. I listen to a lot of podcasts. And
Very good. Okay, what would be a topic where you really put your head down recently and said, okay, I'm going to be really focusing on that and, spend some time in, going a bit deeper?
The I would say that's an interesting question. I feel like I've done that a lot. I'm trying to think where. Yeah, okay. I would say by a lot of luck, we got into the health and technology space. So a lot of our clients are health and technology related, and fintech as well. And that is a hot area right now, thankfully. But that's an area that I have spent a lot of time reading and researching, like health insurance in America. How does that work for employers, for self? There's a lot of terms that get used. The medical field is itself. I've done a lot of research in that. I'm by any means not a doctor or anything close to that, but I did that one because I was curious too, because that's the space we're in. So I feel very comfortable now. Whereas I think 2-3 years ago, I would not have known a lot of the, a lot of the processes and the way things worked in the health and technology space. So.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay. I would love to switch gears one more time a little bit and talk about basically, since we're slowly actually coming to an end, we have a couple of rapid fire questions that are a couple of short and crisp question answers. Are you ready for those?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Since we were talking about books quite a bit there, could you tell me what's the last book that you read?
The last book I read, one is called The Three Marriages. And I actually have it over here. It's called The Three Marriages. And it's reimagining work, self, and relationship. So basically there's three marriages you have with yourself. One is with your love, right? So I'm married, I have a wife. The second is with yourself, and the third is with your work. And that's kind of the gist of the book. I got a lot out of it. I think it hit home right now because with COVID and everybody working from home, everything is just blended into one. And it's, there's a lot of areas that's over my mind. And so that's probably the last book that I've read.
Who's the author, just for everybody who's interested?
Yes, the author is David Whyte, spelled Whyte.
Very good. Cool. Let's move to the next question. What's the one single thing that the company is focused on the most at the moment?
One single thing companies focus on the most at the moment is diversity is a huge player right now. Always has been, but I would say more so than ever. I've got in the US, at least it's called the Parity Pledge. We have clients that, if you're, 50% of candidates need to be diverse, whether that's gender or race. So that is, most of our clients focus on that. I would like to say I've always focused on that myself. However, that's something that's big right now. So,
if there would be no, go ahead.
I say we do focus on that. I think we do a good job because you can look at our results of who landed. So, yeah.
If there would be no boundaries in technology, what would be one thing that you would want to have fixed for Ramp Talent today?
No boundaries in technology. One thing to be fixed. I think there is, and I'm going to be there too, and I'm just going to pick on different generations. I do see, I first of all think the generation like millennial, Gen Z, baby boomer, Gen X, I think for the most part is bullshit, excuse my terms. But I do think there is a area in technology that people are more comfortable than others, right? So I have a leader who I work with he would be baby boomer, but he's one of the most talented leaders ever.
Hmm.
but I know he struggles in technology. And when COVID happened, it really shined a light on that.
Hmm.
Simple things like getting on a Zoom call, right? And I took, I actually spent time with him, getting him up to speed.
Yep.
And I don't mean he's a very smart guy. He didn't grow up in that area, right?
Yep. Very good.
And I think you flip on the other side, you get millennials and Gen Z that grew up in that area. And that's what they know. I actually, for my side coffee company, she would be a Gen Z. And it was dawned on me the other day. I asked her to do a project that she had to write something out, and she did it on her phone and sent it to me. I never in a million years would ever do something like that. But that's what she knows. And
Yep.
she did, and it looked good, but it was in a kind of a weird format. I asked her to put on Google Sheets, and she had put on Google Sheets, but she at first sent it to me in from her phone. But that's what she knows.
Yep.
I would never do that, but she did the job. It just was a different way to do it. It actually opened my eyes like how that generation looks. So
Super interesting.
yeah.
Super interesting. Very good. Very last question, right? If today would be a very first day starting to work on RAM talent, right? So if we're moving back a couple of years back to 2017, what would be, one advice that you would give yourself?
Go slow to go fast. And what I mean by that is it will take probably everything will take longer than you think.
Mhm.
You're going to want the world on day one, and it's going to take longer than you think. And then also with that, believe in yourself. That is, I can't say that I'm enough, right? I've been at this now for over 3 years, which is, and I feel comfortable now where, okay, I'm going to be okay. Right. But there was a period, 1 year to 18 months where it's hard to believe in yourself because it's tough to get traction. So believe in yourself, but also be mindful things take time.
I think a lot
So
of people listening can resonate with that, what you were just saying. So thanks for sharing. And I really appreciate that you took the time to be part of Pathfund Presents with us today. I want to give you the very last word. If somebody forgets everything we talked about RAM talent today, what would be the one thing that they should remember about the company?
we get high growth companies and we understand the need to go fast when hiring. We can learn the problems that your business is facing, solve them, and we're damn fun to work with.
Very good. Thanks for being part of the show.
You bet. Thanks, Lucas.